Microsoft Word 2003 Workspace Area Fundamentals. Well, congratulations. You've installed Office 2003 and maybe the first application you want to crank up is Word 2003. Well, some things have changed, and in this video we're going to show you how the workspace has now become even more efficient and more easy to use. In this video, we are going to take a look at several things, including the task panes, a new feature that we have in Word 2003. We're going to take a look at the work area itself, and that's everything from the title bar to the menu bar to the toolbars, and then finally the work area itself and how we use rulers. We're going to show how to use the task panes, and then finally take a brief look at Office Online and how it can serve us as Word 2003 users. Probably the first thing that we're going to want to take a look at is the real estate. What's changed when I open up Microsoft Word 2003? Now, as we saw from the install, you're going to have most of the options. At least that's how I've installed my version here of Office 2003. And so when we take a look at Word, we merely need to go to Start, All Programs, find Microsoft Office here, and then click on Microsoft Office Word 2003. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that it's different. Yes, we now have the task pane. Now, the task pane, a lot of people would say, well, okay, this is kind of new. Is it a lot of new things? Well, some new, some old. For example, the Getting Started is one of the newer features that we have where you can connect to Microsoft Office Online. We can search for help just by typing in one or more keywords here on online, and we can also open up previous documents that we have, or create a new document all right here from the Getting Started task pane. Now, some of the other ones we have, if we click on the down arrow here, we'll see that we have Help, Search Results, Clip Art, Research, Clipboard, all these, including the ever popular and one that we'll take a look at, Mail Merge, a little bit later on in the video series. Now, what you might say is, I recognize some of these. These used to be wizards or dialog boxes. I would come up here to my menu and click maybe a format and click on Styles and Formatting. And then I would open up a dialog box and then, step through 1, 2, 3, whatever I need to do. Well, now notice if I click on the task pane, I can go to Styles and Formatting right here. And it brings it up right next to me in my task pane. So I've got my header information. If I want to do that, I can the format of the normal selected text. I can do all available formatting and show it. So I have a lot of options here just merely by selecting the task pane instead of having to always go up to the menu. Now, if I don't want to use the task pane, I can close it. And notice now I get the full real estate of my document, my plain document that I've started automatically. Some of the other things that we need to become familiar with, maybe this is the first encounter you've ever had with Word and you're just getting started. Well, the very top here is what's known as the title bar. And it gives us a few clues about what's going on, including what the name of the document is. Since this is a brand new document, it just gives it a generic name, Document 1. Tells you which program you're in. You're in Microsoft Word, not Excel or PowerPoint or Access or any of the other Office products. Here you have one of the control menus. If I click on this, it allows me to minimize, maximize, or even close the application. So we could do this. It's kind of like one of the Windows control. All the way over here, we have the buttons that do a lot of the same. We have the minimize button. So if I click on the minimize, it minimizes. I can click down here on my taskbar to bring it back up, or I can even maximize it to fill the whole screen or close. So you get some of the same features here depending on which corner you are on the title bar. Below that is the menu bar, and here is where you will have all of your available options for this application. In this case, for Word 2003, we can see when you click on it, it gives you a list of several options. But you'll notice that we had a little arrow down here at the bottom. And that just hides the ones that you haven't used in a long time. If you allow the mouse just to sit here on any one of these menu options, it will eventually expand and show you all the options that you have. You can then see that if we go from one to another, we have the Edit menu, which allows us to go through and do a lot of the editing features. View, which decides, hey, which view do you want of the workspace that you're looking at? Do you want to have a rulers? Do you want toolbars? Do you want to bring up our friend the task pane? You can do that as well. document maps, thumbnails. Many of these we'll see throughout the video series as we do certain types of tasks. Then we have the Insert menu where we can, guess what? Yep, you got it. Insert things like page numbers, the date and time. You can do comments, as we'll see. You can do pictures, diagrams, and text box. Many different things, including hyperlinks to other files and even to websites. Format deals with things like our fonts, our paragraphs, whether we want columns or not, if we want to change the background on the page and fill things. We can even build themes if we need to, and create some table of contents in frames, or create new frames pages. We'll take a look at each one of these in a little bit more detail as we go through the series. Tools we have, which, we have some great ones. Spelling and grammar, research, which is a new one here in 2003. Track changes, letters and mailings, where we have our mail merge and our mail merge toolbars and envelopes and labels, and we still have our letter wizard if we need to do that as well. Tables. Now, while Excel 2003 is really what you want to use for any type of spreadsheet programs, if you're creating a document in Word 2003, feel free. You can use some tables here, which we'll show you how to set up, and then how we arrange our windows, and then finally on the menu bar, we have the help, where if we just hit the F1, it brings up our good friend the Word help. Now, it used to be you had Clippy that would show up, right? Well, now you can go ahead and just use the task pane for Word help, where it has everything from going to connect to Microsoft Office Online and get some assistance, training, which I'll actually link you up to some video presentations on Microsoft's online website. It's awesome. You can learn how to do just about anything right there. And so it's a great little tool that we can use. So far, we've looked at the title bar, the menu bar, and then, of course, we have our toolbars. Now, our toolbars are just a way for us to take some of the common tasks that we do from the menu here and then just go ahead and create a button that we can use, like a new blank document. We got a save button. We have an email. We can print. All of these buttons get your little tool help tips that show up and tell you what each one of these buttons does. I really like that because sometimes you'll see a button and you're like, I have no idea what this little paintbrush is. Oh, it's the format painter. Okay, great. I can use that to highlight text and then highlights different text and have the same format. So that's a format painter. We'll see how that works when we get into formatting the actual text. But again, these buttons are just a way where I don't have to search for something. If I use something a lot, like putting in hyperlinks, and I'm like, okay, I think it's insert. Where is it? Okay, there it is, hyperlink or Control K. Well, instead, if you have it on a toolbar, that makes it just so much easier. The two toolbars that you get, say that a couple times fast, that you get at the very beginning are the standard toolbar, which includes things like your save functions, your print, creating and inserting things, and your formatting toolbar, which is where you're going to see your styles like normal, your Times New Roman fonts, or whatever fonts you want to do. You can select down here and then choose which one you want. And again, your mileage may vary depending on what you have installed on your computer, because other applications, if they install fonts onto your computer, you will have access to them because they're typically put into the font folder, and Office 2003, whether it's Excel, Word, or PowerPoint, will go out to that font folder and make them available to you. So that's kind of a cool feature. You also get bolding, and you can create your line spacing and your numbering and your bullets, and all these are part of the toolbars. Now, if you want to create more toolbars or add new toolbars, you merely click on the View, Toolbars, and then select from the many that you have. You have quite a few. You can even customize and create your own toolbar, and we'll show you how to do that later on in the series. So we have the title bar, we have the menu bar, we have the toolbars. What about the work area? What do we have here? Well, we start at the top. We've defined what everything else is, but now this is the actual work area where you're going to kind of come in and play and type and do your things for your document. And so there's several features that you might be interested in seeing, including the fact that you have your scroll bars over here on the right as well as down below. And all this allows you to do is whether you want to scroll horizontally across your document, or if you want to scroll down further on the page, you can click and hold and drag the scroll bar, or you could use the arrows just by clicking on them. I'm doing single clicks right here, or hold it down and it will do pretty much the same thing as selecting and dragging. Very simple, straightforward stuff, but again, when you're maneuvering through your work area, it's important that you take a look at it. Now, you also have rulers. No, I'm not talking like you have a king or an emperor over you. I'm talking about the rulers that are up here on top, including this horizontal one, which will show you several things, including your margins. If you notice this gray area that's dark, well, that is an area where you're not going to print. You will start typing your material where these margins are. Now you can change each one. The very top one is the first line indent, the bottom one is the hanging indent, and then finally it's the left indent. And then you can move these. And as you move these, you can move the whole entire indent, where even though this is area what's considered part of the margins, you're not going to type anything in this area. So you can come and move it back, or you can move one particular arrow. Maybe you want this particular first line indent to be here. So the first line will always start here, and in which case I can type in hello. This is the first line of my new Microsoft Word 2003 document. If I keep typing, you will notice the next line carries back. And you can see that. This is obviously the beginning. The first line indent of your paragraph will start here. And as you move down, you'll notice as soon as you continue down to the next line, without doing a carriage return, it will then take it all the way back to where your indent is, your left indent. So, you know, again, you can do just about anything you want to do. You can do hanging indents, which is just, you know, moving this one right here just up a little bit. So now you're moving both at the same time. And again, this is how you want to format based upon the ruler. Now the nice thing is the ruler here shows you the actual dimensions of your paper, everywhere from this side all the way to the 8.5 by 11 if you're doing 8.5 by 11, and then it would go down starting from 0 all the way down to 11. 8, 9, 10, 11. So 8.5 by 11 would be your full page that you would see if you type from margin to margin. You also have your vertical one here as well. And so again, we'll show you in detail when we start getting into more columns and tabs and indents and how we use them to format our document. You'll see how we can use these. They're very powerful by using the rulers. Now, of course, you can hide the rulers by simply clicking on View and clicking off the rulers. That simple. If you want to see them again, click View, click Ruler, and our rulers are back. It's a very simple process, and again, this is used to help align our text and create our indents or tabs and other things. We can also see that we can change the view that we have of our work area. Right now, believe it or not, you are in print view mode. How do I know that? By these icons right down here in the bottom left hand. You can see that we have our print layout view, which is what's currently selected. I can do an outline view. I can do the reading layout, which is kind of interesting. It allows me to put a page side by side to another page. It makes it look like a book. So you can quickly take a look at what's on the page, read through it, and click through, just like you're flipping the pages of a book. If I click on it, you can see. In this case, I only have one page. So if I had 2 pages, the second one would appear over here, and I can do a whole bunch of things by looking at it this way. To get out of this, all I need to do is click Close, and it brings me back to the print layout view. So when I do that, I can go ahead and scroll over here. Some of the other ones that we have the outline view. We also have the normal view. Now with normal view, the one thing that you're going to notice is that here we just have our horizontal bar. We don't really deal with the vertical bar here. We can also do a web layout view, which will show you a little bit more information, and like if you're doing HTML coding and things like that. That's nice to have. Or some people just like to see what it might look like on the page, how it would look like if you're printing it on the actual document. So you see the corners, you would be able to see some of the header and footer information, whatever you're trying to do. So again, the views are down here under the buttons, or you can come up here to View and select which one you want to have. And if you need to see all of them, the outline, the reading, We're currently in print layout, web layout, normal. Just click on the down arrow down here, or just leave your mouse hovered over the menu bar and it will drop down and show you all of the options that you have. Well, one thing I did want to show you right here as part of your real estate is the fact is that you not only have these task panes, but they're very useful. For example, if I come back to the getting started and I want to go ahead and type in search for something. Let's say I want to find out, what the heck is a hanging indent? Maybe I don't know. Well, I can type in hanging indent and hit OK. What that's going to do is it's going to come in and say, all right, we've got indent paragraphs, measure up with the horizontal ruler, set margins, indents, and tabs. And I like this because I put the word hanging in there. It's like recover a program that is not responding. Of course, that means that your program is hanged and it's not able to get off. So if I go ahead and click on indent paragraphs, it will then bring up the Microsoft Office Word help window. Now this is included as part of your Office 2003. In this case, it focuses on Word. It talks about the first line indent. Shows how to create a hanging indent, which is the thing that we were looking at. So if I click on this, it says select the paragraph in which you want to create a hanging indent. It's a paragraph formatting in which the second and subsequent lines of a paragraph are indented more than the first line. And it's like for bulleted and numbered lists. So now if you're like, oh, what the heck is a hanging indent? Now you know just by using Office Word Help. And it gives you the information rather quickly. Now if you needed to, you could also go online and do a search, and that would give you that information. What I really like is anytime they're showing you a certain tool or a button, they always show it to you right down here. And they even add some tips on how to do more precision in setting a hanging indent. Use the Indents and Spacing tab in the Format menu, and you can actually punch in, as we'll see when we do formatting, the actual how far in by inches, pixels, and another, or centimeters, whichever method or methodology you want to use. So we'll go ahead and close our Office Word Help pane here, and we'll go back to where we were started on getting started. And one thing that I always want to suggest to people, many people say, Microsoft and their web and their, applications. Let me tell you something. Microsoft Office Online, we'll go ahead and click on this, has a lot of very nifty features for you, including the community. If you come in here, you'll notice that it's not just all about getting templates. You can get assistance. There's downloads. There's Office Marketplace, which gives you third-party downloads and things like that. And if you come down here, you'll notice that you have information for just about any type of company or occupation, or if you're a developer, and you even have the Office community. The Office community is something that's very special, I think, because you will find that not only do you have people that have been using this product from probably the inception of using Word and Excel, and even before they were all put together as part of Office. What you can do is you can go in and you can type in forums, get feedback. How do I do this? Have you found this to be effective? And most of the people in these forums, in this Office community, are quite willing to share that information. And then of course if you know something and you go, hey, does everyone notice this, that if you do this is really cool, you can share it, and a lot of people either say, yep, we know that, or they're going, wow, that's cool, I'm going to use that as well. So don't just think that Office Online is just a place to get templates. There's so much more here that you can find, especially when you're going to be working with Word 2003. And that is why we are doing the video series, to help show you these common tasks, but also give you all the tools that you need to have at your fingertips in order to be successful in using this. Well, we got a good start as we look at our video series, including taking a look at one of the new features that we have, including the task panes. We looked at our work area where the menu, the title, and the toolbars are. We also looked at where the space where we're going to be typing, how to use the rulers to move our indents. We even took a look at using the task panes. We typed in a search, found out what a hanging indent was. And then we looked at Office Online, one of the more powerful features that we have whenever we're using either Word 2003 or any of the other Office products. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.